Great pleasure this month to have Hector Curriel with us, the author of American Ace, Joe Foss, Fighter Pilot. And this is our first, as a press, our first foray into the graphic biography genre. So if you haven't seen American Ace, it is a wonder. So Hector created all of the panels and the story, and it's got great text, and it's like reading a movie, I would say. So Hector is here to tell us about his process and also about the story of Joe Foss. And if you have questions, kind of file them away. And when his presentation is over, you'll have an opportunity to ask those. I'm going to ask you to type them in the chat, and then I can relay them to him so that we don't have to try to figure out how not to talk on top of each other. So Hector, are we ready to go?
Yes, I do.
Yes, so Hector is originally from Lima, Peru. He lives in Sioux Falls, has been there for decades. He's a resident artist, illustrator, storyteller. I think if there was such a thing as a public artist, maybe that would be Hector. He's constantly speaking to groups and talking to school kids and just really telling people about his art and how to do that. And he's had some great interviews on Kello and other places, and so he's becoming a pro and more of a pro. So thank you, Hector, for being with us. And I'm going to take it away, and you tell me when to hit your slides.
Sure, I will.
Just say next.
Hi, everyone. It's my pleasure to be with you today and be part of these story talks and share about my experience, about what means for me do this graphic novel about Joe Foss. And this book, it was come out April 19. And from since then, I really excited about the people respond to this book. I able to encounter people beyond further than the state, and I able to meet a Joe Foss relative, which was so important for me, because at the beginning, when I started doing my search, I tried, but I never had success. I never had opportunity to meet any of them. And also, it's amazing how through the internet, someone, a Foss relative from Norway, because his dad he's Norwegian descendant. There's a lot of Foss photos on Norway, and he able to know about this book, and he contacted me through my social media and asked me to buy 15 books. So I shipped in 15 books to Norway to the other Foss generations. It's very exciting for me. And it also, many people ask me, what is your interest about Joe Foss? Why someone from Lima, Peru, has so interesting about Joe Foss? And always my answer to that is, why not? Because for me, after read about Joe Foss' life, about his legacy, for me, it's beyond the borders or the state, even of the country. Because he represents for many us someone who had dreams. He tried to make his dream come true. Someone who faced many challenges in life, like many of us, and he able to be resilient and living and lead what we know like the American dream. That's why I found his life so inspirational, so compelling, and a great story. And that is the main thing. I found in his biography such a great story, and it had to be told, especially for new generations. So today, I would like to take you like a trip through his story life from the beginning, because always for me, that's my question, trying to answer what made Joe Foss, why he was so unique, so special. So Deidre, please, I would like to help me with this now. I want to pass some pictures, that way you can also get to know more about the great American hero, Joe Foss.
Okay, except I can't get it to go. Ben, tell me what to do.
It's time for the commercials.
This is
It
a
won't,
lesson in what I don't know about Zoom.
What are you trying to do exactly? Change a slide?
I'm trying to go on the next slide, and the arrows don't want to work. So
can you mean the arrows on your keyboard?
yeah, that's what I was using. Arrows on the keyboard.
How about just clicking toward the bottom of the slide with your mouse? See if that,
Oh wait, there's something here. Look at that.
there,
See,
look at
anyone know? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
thank you.
We're full of technical difficulties tonight. My apologies.
Thank you, Deirdre, for your great effort.
Now I know.
So what you see right now is the house where he born. He was born in April 17, 1915, and grew up in a farming home outside of Sioux Falls. He was the oldest of the 3 siblings. Next one, please. You can see Joe Foss with his brother Cliff. He's the one to the right. And the next one, please. Another picture, more grew up now, maybe 9 years old. Again, he's the one to the right with his brother Cliff. Next one, please. His dad, Frank Foss, was his best friend. His incredible personality influenced Joe's life. His father also was able to instill in Joe his passion for flying. Next one. Another person who inspired him tremendously was the famous pilot Charles Lindbergh, who was the first person to fly non-stop from New York to Paris in May 20th, 1927. His father took the family to Renner, South Dakota on August 27, 1927 to see Charles Lindbergh landing at Renner Field. He say when he was little, he was following him through the radio. He was his hero, and when he knew he's coming to South Dakota, he was extremely excited to meet him. At that point, he wanted to go up to the podium where it was Charles Lindbergh. Unfortunately, security taken him away and he was upset with that. And he mentioned went to where his famous plane, the Spirit of St. Louis, was taxiing. And he pointed to the plane and says, "One day I'm gonna be more famous than you." Next one, please. In 1931, his father took him for a ride in the Ford 3 motor. The experience influenced even more on Joe's dream to become a pilot. At the time, the cost to ride around to Sioux Falls and those kind of planes cost around $1.50. Doesn't sound a lot of money, but at the time it was a lot of money, for sure. Next one, please. In March 1933, he witnessed the tragic death of his father, who was electrocuted driving back home in the middle of the dark raining storm. The loss of his father marked one of his sadness moments on his life. That's probably the most difficult time he experienced at a very young age. Interestingly, we face in South Dakota a couple storms so severely, and I heard someone die also in the same situation, the same way his dad died. He was someone who was electrocuted when they go over those power lines. Very sad moment for him. Next one, please. With his father gone and being the oldest child in the family, he understood his mother would really now need all his support to run the farm and feed the family, especially during the Great Depression that affected severely the country. Next one, please. Also, his mother looked for education for her son. She pursued John to attend to Augustana College while he's working. The next one, please. And when he's working, in the next one, you can see before that, thank you. He works in this company and it still is running, and it's called now it's called Smith Fields. Before it used to call Morels, and it's a meat packing pork, and he worked there while he trying to make the money to pay for his education. Despite all the challenges and adversities, and next one, can you back please to the, come back. One more, there you go. No, thanks. Despite all the challenges and adversities, his ambition for being a pilot never faded away. But because of how expensive the training was for hours, the only way he found possible to continue his training was to enlist in the Air Corps. Next one, please. Although he admitted he wasn't a good student, his dedication, perseverance, and goal-oriented attitude helped him to graduate with honors. Next one. The day he obtained his wings was supposed to be one of the most important days in his military career. But instead, he found out that according to the aviation standards, he was too old for being a combat pilot since he was 26 years old. The only could aim to be a flight instructor. It's hard to believe in those times. And in order to be a combat pilot, you had to be in the range to 18 to 23. So based to those numbers, and with 26 years old, it was impossible at the moment for Joe Foss serving as a combat pilot. Next one, please. At 7:43 a.m. on Sunday, December 7, 1941, 360 Japanese planes made a surprise attack on the United States Pacific Fleet, which had been stationed at Pearl Harbor. It was one of the most devastating attacks in American history. With a challenging message to Congress, President Roosevelt declared war on the Japanese Empire. Although there were a great need for combat pilots, Joe's age still barred him from flight. Next one. But finally, he was able to make it. And on July 31st, 1942, he was assigned as executive officer of the Marine Fighting Squadron 121. On September 1st, he sailed from San Diego aboard the troop transport Matsonia to take them to their final destiny, the island of the Guadalcanal. Next. After the Battle of the Midway, a stalemate situation exists between Japan and the United States. Japanese forces were constructing an airfield on Guadalcanal, one on the Solomon Islands, which was only 1,200 miles from Australia. Once the airfield was finished, Japanese warplanes could easily attack Australia. American strategies could not let this happen. So Guadalcanal became the place where the United States committed its men and ships to its first full offensive. And Guadalcanal, among to those Solomon Islands, it was a very special need island because it was probably the only one who had a little flat terrain where planes can be, where that area can be used as an airfield. And compared to other islands around to Solomon Island, they are very hilly, what make the geography so impossible. So when the Japanese find out they're trying to build this airstrip, and the concern for the Americans is because they are so close to Australia, only 1,200 miles, and they're big concern, and that's why they changed the plans because it was another plan before that. But when they found out this, they changed the strategy. So the next one, please. On August 7, 1942, 19,000 men of the 1st Marine Division invade support by Navy warships and supply ships. In about 36 hours, the Marine had taken the airstrip and named it Henderson Field. Though the landing went smoothly, everything after that seems to go wrong. The Japanese Navy swiftly counterattacked at night and forced the US Navy to retreat, with their supplies transport only half unloaded. As I mentioned, Americans they weren't prepared about to come to Guadalcanal. They don't have maps. They don't have any very important information. And although they're able to take in 36 hours for the next time, after that was a very difficult time for the Allies to contain the severe attack from the Japanese forces. Next one, please. Isolated, short of food and ammunition, weakened by tropical diseases, the Marines desperately fought against the Japanese. And the next 6 months, the struggle for Guadalcanal was virtually to mean the battle for Henderson Field. Even Marine Major General Alexander Vandegrift, who commanded the invasion force, later said there were 100 reasons why this operation should fail. Next. But it didn't not fail. The Marines beat back attack after attack. Ultimately, reinforced and resupplied, the Marines finally defeated the Japanese and took Guadalcanal. Next one. Joe Foss, who is the one on right, and he's standing on the right, on the end of the right to the right. Joe Foss' heroic deed was crucial to the taking the control of Guadalcanal. Under his command, the BNF 121, better known as a flying circus, for their acrobatic and risky maneuvers during the aerial combats. They were able to resist, control, and defeat the powerful Japanese army. Yes. Next one, please. Next one. That is the famous plane he flew. It's called the Wildcat, or F4F. So he had been shot down twice and contract malaria. Okay, next one. Show the next one, please. You see Joe Foss in the picture. He lost a lot of weight, and he was severely sick because of malaria. He had malaria twice, actually. But at the end of his mission on the island, he reached a total of 26 shot down planes, matching the record held by the Americans' top World War I ace, Eddie Rickenbacker. You know, maybe as you know, in order to be an ace, to be considered an ace pilot, you had to shut down at least 5 planes. It's amazing how Joe Foss able to shut down 26 of them. Next one, please. Here's another picture. You see Joe Foss in his famous plane, the Wildcat. Next one. Another picture of him. And the next. Joe Foss returned to the United States in March 1943. On May 18, 1943, he received the Medal of Honor from President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. In the picture, as you see, he is receiving the medal. His wife is held him to put in, and his mother looking to the left. No? It was a special moment for the whole family. He received the most greatest honors and you can receive in your military career. Next one, please. Another picture, a famous picture of him being the cover of the Life magazine in 1943. Next. Joe Foss toured the United States in what he called the Dancing Bear Act until July 1943. In this picture, he is on Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and on Phillips Avenue, and maybe you know Sioux Falls, that is a state theater, and he's sitting in this fancy car on the back. No? Next one, please. In February 1944, Joe Foss returned to the Pacific Theater to lead the Squadron BNF 115. He also had an opportunity to meet and fly with idol from his childhood, Charles Lindbergh. He's just right in the center with mustache, and the person who's next to him to the right is actually Charles Lindbergh. It's amazing he able to meet his idol from his childhood. Next one. In August 1945, Foss was released to inactive duty and opened his Joe Foss flying service. Next. In 1943, Foss was appointed a lieutenant colonel in the South Dakota Air National Guard and instructed to form the South Dakota Air National Guard. During the Korean War, Foss, then colonel, was called to act off duty with the United States Air Force. He eventually reached the rank of the Brigadier General. Next one, please. In 1949, Foss served 2 elect terms as a Republican representative in the South Dakota legislature, and beginning in 1955, at age 39, as the state's youngest governor. Next. While governor, he became president of the National Society of the Crippled Children and Adults. That was something close for him because he had a child who born with this severe illness, and that's why he feels so identified with those people who are suffering with some handicap conditions. Next one, please. After serving as a governor, Foss spent a short time working for Raven Industries before becoming the first commissioner of the newly created American Football League in 1959. During the next 7 years, Foss helped expand the league and made lucrative television deals. Next one, please. He stepped aside as commissioner in April 1966, just 2 months before the historic agreement to lead to the merger of the AFL and NFL and the creation of the Super Bowl. It is amazing to know, and especially for us who live in this state, South Dakota, someone like him, he was the person behind the scenes to help to create this most, probably the most important sport event in the country, the Super Bowl. That was, for me, amazing. Next one. In 1964, he hosts ABC Television's The American Sportsman. In 1972, he started a new job for 6 years as a director of public affairs for the KLM Royal Dutch Airlines. Next one. In 1998, Foss was elected president of the National Rifle Association. He was portrayed on the cover of the 29th of January 1990 issue of Time magazine. It's again another famous cover, another famous magazine. Next, please. Finally, in January 1st, 2003, in Scottsdale, Arizona, at the age of 86, he made his last flight to his Lord and Savior. His passion for the highest ultimately made him a real hero. Next. Joe Foss, a South Dakota legend, was well known by presidents, politics, businessmen, and celebrities. Next one, please. As the famous TV anchor Tom Brokaw said, end quote, "When I was a young man growing in South Dakota, we didn't have many claims of the national fame. But as long we had Joe, we have the best." Next one. But in spite of many recognitions and achievements that he obtained in life, he always kept his feet on the ground. He was able to treat people the same regardless their origin or position in life. A great storyteller that used to say, didn't matter where you came from. What counts is where you are going and what you do with your life. Joe Foss is a real example of someone who followed his dream and made through it. He proves to us that hard work, perseverance, and innovation pay off. But the most important aspect of his life is that he was a true hero that continues to demonstrate the same integrity and courage in the civilian life as he once showed in war. Joe Foss was just that. He was a man driven for sacrifice and determination, courage and conviction. Thank you. And now let's talk about my process, how I'm able to develop my graphic novel. And it's taken for me about a year to collect all the information, research through books, videos. I spent a lot of time watching YouTube, and was amazing for me to find great information, videos from 1940s to express talking about all those maneuvers, about the tactics, playing, many things. It was hard for me to understand beginning when I read his autobiography, when he described his not fighting, but now after watching those videos, makes sense for me. That was so important. And again, after that, working my pictures is about, you can put maybe change the screen, show me, I want to show something also from here. I brought here some examples about those panels. This is one of those panels. It's 11 by 17 size and black and white. And obviously that start from, I always say to make a graphic novel is like ride two horses at the same time, because you had to thinking like a storyboard all the time and trying to see how what you wrote in the story, how's it gonna match or go or flow with the pictures, no? And work for me because I'm an artist, so I had the ability to create pictures. And so, but still, before to get these final pictures, panels that you see, I sketching. I do a little sketchings, and when I found the sketches really relevant or with the story, and I started developing more details, and finally finish on ink. No? So that's about 130 pages like that. That's why it takes for me about 2 years to complete. And handmade. I want to do it handmade instead of doing digital because I admire the first, you know, the first graphic novels, the comics artists, like and I want to live in that experience like they did to drawing by hands on every single panel. Obviously, if I work in another project like this, I will be a different way, more digital, make it more easy my job, and also less time. But I feel so content to make it this graphic novel through this way. All these panels next year, I was invited I received invitation from Augustana University. They want to display in the museum, the Center of the Historical Western, all those panels, and I want to do again other presentation about my book, and I will let you know, guys, when the time is coming. It's going to be in something in April 2023. And I open for questions you might have. And thank you again for your invitation.
Thanks so much, Hector. It's so great to see the inspirations for you. And if you all have questions, please put those in the chat. And hopefully we will be able to see them. Because sometimes Zoom does not cooperate. So I would like, well, people are thinking of their questions. What has been the most surprising thing to you with getting the book published? And all
Well,
the attention and
many things. I remember start this in 2016, complete something in 2019. I was so eager to my book getting published right away. I was thinking maybe by December, it'll be a good time to promote it. But my publisher decided to wait until 2002, kind of drop my jaw. What? You're gonna wait so long? And she mentioned, yes, she make a good point. You know, we celebrate this year 80 years since U.S. entered to the World War II. So in terms of promotion, it would be a good year to talking about history about the World War II. And also makes sense because, you know, right after we faced the COVID, and then with COVID, obviously it would be impossible to promote the book because everyone's locked down. So I think it was a wise decision for help me to be more patient. I found some other things so important to connect with people. I've been doing promotions at many nursing homes now because I want to do in school as well, but because they are on vacation, so obviously I can't go over there right now. So, and I encounter many seniors from residents from nursing homes who able to bring to me memories they remember when they met when they were little or young to Joe Foss. And for me, it's kind of reaffirm the fact I never had the opportunity to meet him, but I kind of create my idea what kind of person he was and kind of see through those testimonials people confirm what I found. No? Such a great man, person, humble and good servant, a strong personality as well.
we have a great question from Ben that sort of follows along with what you were just saying about Joe Foss's character. And the scenes around Sioux Falls are great to see. Did you work from photos of the scenes, such as that one on Phillips Avenue, or did you sketch them live? You know, did you go take pictures of what they look like now and then sketch them out?
Yeah, well, we had and the good thing, we had our downtown and very preserved and turn of the time. So there's not a lot of changes in some areas. And for example, around to the old courthouse, I still see, and also I did my research and I went to also the old courthouse museum, and they provide for me some old pictures and how Sioux Falls looked like on those 1930s, 1920s, 1940s. And that was very helpful to me. And obviously I tried to create a scenography, the environment like at those times, no? Because for me, because it's not fiction, it's a real person, I so stick in the facts. I want to be sure everything I present in the book, it was factual. No?
That's great. And I know that you got to meet with Frank Foss. You mentioned that earlier, Joe's son, which I assume was named for his father. Mm-hmm. Frank, and can you tell us a little about what that was like and Frank's reaction to the book?
Very, very exciting moment for me as well, because he reminded me a lot. I saw videos in Joe Foss when he was young, and his gestures, his tone of his voice, and it was kind of making me feel like being in front of his dad, and it was amazing. And also we had the opportunity to give the first book to him. He had the honor to receive the first book we published, and 2 weeks after that he called me and expressed a lot of gratitude for my book. That was really it was a very meaningful call, because he referred and told me, remembers event things his dad mentioned to him, and I able to present on the book, portray in the book. So that was amazing. Yeah.
What a great moment. That's really fun. I got to see the picture of that. No, and a lot of that happened thanks to the director of the State Historical Society, Ben Jones. So thanks to Ben for making that happen. That moment with Frank was very fun. So what kind of things are you working on now, Hector? What's your next project?
Right. Well, my art production is so variety. Book illustrations kind of my main thing, but also in fine arts. And I've been working some private commissions for some law firm here in Sioux Falls. And I also am finishing a children book for it's a self-publishing here from somewhere from Sioux Falls. And also I'm doing cartooning. I've been doing a lot of cartooning, caricatures. I know familiar, there's something, celebration is called Skate in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It's a great event is coming up, and I received invitation to be one of those artists and I also want to use the opportunity to promote my book and do book signing as well. And next week I'm gonna be in Vermilion because I am part of the Artist in Residency program, and I start my art residency this year in Vermilion, teaching for about a week, and I had many other invitations coming for start from today next week and for a whole year. No? So it's teaching is something I love. Yes.
Very busy.
I am very blessed to get opportunity to do what I love. Is art and teaching art as well.
That's so great. Oh, wonderful. And I'm just trying to make sure that I haven't missed any questions, but if for some reason some of you put questions on the chat and they're not coming up, because sometimes that happens with Zoom, feel free to unmute and ask before we let Hector go. So American Ace, Joe Foss Fighter Pilot is available. You can order directly from us from sdhspress.com. It's also available wherever you buy fine books and regular books too. And Abby's putting it in the chat, sdhspress.com. And we also always want to acknowledge the South Dakota Historical Society Foundation works with us to do these history talks. Next month, we will be talking with William Pratt on, I'll get my brain straight on the date, August 11th at 7 p.m. And he's the author of the book that will be released 2 days before his talk called After Populism, which is also one of our books that is just coming out. And the Historical Society Foundation helps to support all of the efforts of the South Dakota State Historical Society. And we do that largely through memberships. And if you are not a member, we absolutely would love to have you join us as a member. And you can go to their website, sdhsf.com, .org, and find out about membership from them.